Howard, you're live on Truth Wanted. What's going on?
Thanks for having me on. I am a theist. I'm searching for truth via investigation. I believe that for me, that's my religion, and promoting participation in the scientific method to others, I believe, is the best form of worship. In today's era, we're all suffering with an information overload, and if we're not careful and verifying the sources, it's very easy to be misled, even with scientism. Without trying to offend anyone, I'm hoping that you guys can prove me wrong, because I look at what the position I believe is called strong atheism, which I believe also known as angry atheists. I think that they maintain blind faith in scientific consensus by attacking the character rather than addressing the evidence-based arguments that theists bring. And on the other side, I see, I think it's called soft atheism, or I would, with all due respect, say arrogant atheists who maintain blind faith in the scientific consensus by dismissing alternative ideas and new information, unwilling to follow the evidence or entertain alternative conclusions due to having the confirmation bias, like I say. So hopefully you guys can prove me wrong. My question is, why do atheists ignore the existence of Lucifer when we can all see the light bearer with the naked eye? We can all make a primary observation of Venus, the morning star, as you said, flickering bright in the blue morning sky while the sun is rising behind it. So that's observation one, and we'll go back to it in a sec, but observation two would be a primary observation of Venus, the evening star, flickering bright again in the evening blue sky while the sun is setting behind it. So we can see that it's not reflecting sunlight if the sun's behind it. So if it's emitting its own light and it's in a higher dimension than us, it's flying or floating around in the sky, emitting its own light, and all the ancient cultures worshipped it. Maybe this is why. It's because it is a higher dimensional being, able to do things out of our scientific understanding.
Why? What method did you use to come to that conclusion? Just because?
That's what I was wondering.
What, your own observations? Like
what criteria did you use?
I'm actually saying if you make a primary observation, you'll get the same results. And like I tried to mention before, moonlight measurably chills water. You can leave a glass of water in the moonlight for half an hour and check it with a thermometer, and even manipulate the effect with a magnifying glass, which proves that moonlight isn't a reflection of sunlight either. And that's probably
wait, I'm sorry, wait a minute, hold on. We're going on a tangent here, but I gotta know what you just said. Wait, what? Wait, you put a magnifying glass on water and the moonlight, it's different.
Moonlight is
sunlight?
colder. I've heard this, that moonlight is colder. I mean,
I haven't heard about this.
Yeah, I think there may be a good indication as to why when one experiences moonlight, one also experiences a drop in temperature, but we'll come back to that.
Wait, but Howard, do you not agree that Venus has like has phases, like that it has shadows cast on it?
No, I just said it has phases, but the assumption that it's a shadow causing the phase, that's not demonstrable. Just like the moon might not be a shadow, it actually might be partial illumination. And when
why would partial illumination be a better hypothesis than it's a shadow? Why would partial illumination be a better hypothesis in your eyes, Howard?
Yeah.
Because we can see the sun and the moon are the same size in our perspective. We're told that the sun is 400 times bigger.
Do you not think that we went to the...
Let him finish. Let him cook. Let him cook, Elliot. Go ahead, Howard.
Thank you, Dan. So I'm just going off what we can measure and observe for ourselves. And measuring the temperature of water go down after 30 minutes.
No. Go back. I want to talk about the shadows, because you have the idea that it is a more plausible explanation that the moon and Venus are emitting their own light source than the giant ball of gas that's in the middle of our, solar system? Like, why do you think, like...
Yeah, definitely. Because, just like Elliot said, we are told that they can look at something and tell us what it's made of and what's inside it and all that. Yeah, if I put a dustbin at the end of your street, no technology that we have can tell you what's inside that dustbin.
Yes, it can.
At the end of
what are you talking about? Yes, it can.
First of all, Howard, there's a reason why we can tell about the elements of stars and planets, right?
Yeah.
And it has to do with the way that we can observe the spectrum of light that is emitted from the stars, right? We can tell about its core and what it's made of from understanding that it's called spectroscopy is the science. I learned about this when I took astronomy in college, right?
We've also literally just sent fucking boxes into space and been like, get some stuff, bring it back. And it tells us stuff. Like that has happened. Do you not think that has happened?
See, this is my whole point. You guys are not skeptics as you claim to be. When it comes to the United Nations, who are behind all of the space agencies, you don't have any skepticism in the information that they give.
Carl Sagan helped the American government figure out how we could nuke the moon. Right? Like that's a real thing that happened, right? That we found out decades after the fact.
Well, Dan, let me challenge your epistemology. What is stronger evidence? Primary information or secondary information? Go.
I'm assuming you mean primary as in me looking at stuff and secondary being somebody else looking at stuff. But even then, that's incredibly unreliable in its own right, because I'm not an expert in many things. And I would want people who are experts to be able to tell me about, observations that are being made.
Yeah.
But it isn't. I'm actually saying if you make the primary observations of the Venus, and if you check Moonlight with a thermometer and a magnifying glass, you will get the same results. The idea is that you leave 2 or even 3 or 4 glasses of water outside in your garden. You can put the glass on top of a book or something that's neutral. The idea is you compare glasses of water that are in the direct moonlight to glasses of water that are shaded from the moonlight, not sheltered, because that would cause radiative cooling. And the idea of using a magnifying glass is to verify the independent variable, because when you can manipulate the effect, then you're more certain of the cause to that effect. So yeah, this isn't something I'm asking you to believe. I'm promoting that people participate. I would say it's chilling. That's what I can verify. I don't know if the light gives cold or if it takes heat. I understand that there's polarity in magnetism, in electrics, in everything that we see in nature. So I assume that the sun is a proton and the moon is the electron in this big atom, this atmosphere. And I'm just trying to explain that things we can verify are that moonlight chills, that the sun, when situated behind Venus, shouldn't allow Venus to flicker so brightly in the blue sky, but it does.
Why would all these scientists be so hardcore against your conclusion?
Because it would debunk their worldview, Elliot, and that's why people maintain confirmation bias and don't verify things. I went on national Spanish television and on 10,000 for people to demonstrate counter evidence. And they didn't even try. And I spoke about this to Forrest and Armin, and they just literally went to ridicule and slander instead of addressing the point that I was making.
The moon is really definite. I feel really, really confident that we went to the moon. I feel very, very confident about that. I feel like there is such overwhelming evidence out there to demonstrate to everybody's satisfaction that we had to have gone to the moon, you guys. I just really feel confident about that, okay? And anybody that doesn't have that confidence, just, you know what to do. We here all the time. Just call us and we'll talk with you. I thought it was a pretty good call, to be honest, Howard. I don't know how you felt, Dan. I enjoyed it, so.
Cool. I don't like that you've done this on national television. I have to trust other people who do this stuff for a living in order for me to do anything. It doesn't mean it's right all the time. I do sincerely appreciate Howard calling in and sharing his point of view. But anyway, go ahead, Frank.
I've heard his views. I've heard his views on other channels. He's a nut job. Okay, he's a nut job.